Welcome to the Opinionated Aussies.
Hello and welcome back to the Opinionated Aussies podcast. My name's Adrian and of course I'm joined by Aden and Jordan as pretty much always. How are we going today, you two?
Fantastic, mate. How you going?
Living the dream, mate. And Aden?
Yeah, mate, going well.
Going well. Today we are joined once again by big, beautiful Trent. How you going there, big fella?
Oh, very well, Adrian. Very well, Aden. Very well, Jordan. Yeah, all good on my end. Looking forward to this one. Yep.
I bet you are. Today is going to be a rather interesting one. I'm probably going to be taking a big back seat here unless I'm addressed. Pretty sure Jordan would mostly be doing the same, but he'll have a bit more to say than I will. Today, we are going to be talking about the NBA, specifically with the playoffs that have just started. Aden, Trent, this is predominantly your expertise, so I'm going to let you guys do a lot of the talking, but kick us off. I don't care who starts, just start.
I think the first point of business is to talk about the playing, mate. What's your thought on the playing competition?
Look, I think the play-in competition is fantastic. You know what I mean? It's like that elimination sort of basketball, like college basketball. If you win, you win and go to the next stage straight away. If you lose, you're out and that's it. And you have to wait till next year. So I think it's great. But there's pros and cons to it. But you know, it adds that crazy right, and it gives teams opportunities who are, you know what I mean, who are playing for nothing at the end of the season, and now they're playing for something. So, what's your thoughts, bro?
Well, what I'll do first is I'll explain to everyone sort of what the play-in is. If there's people out there that are just a casual NBA fan, they're not really going to understand it. So the play-in tournament is between 4 teams in the Eastern Conference and 4 teams in the Western Conference. Now, the teams that are seeded 7th and 8th in the respective conference, they play for a spot to go straight into the playoffs. The loser goes into the next round in an elimination game against the winner out of the 9th versus 10th seed in each conference. The winner out of that game then goes into the playoffs. So that's how that all works. Now, as Trent said, there's pros and cons about all of that. Now, I don't mind the play-in. For one, I think, there's teams every year that they'll tank to try and get a good pick if they're sort of starting to get out of the running for the play-in. For the playoffs. The play-in sort of gives that 10th and 9th seed team, a chance to make the playoffs, even if, it's likely they won't. So I do like that aspect, but at the same time, you could have a team that finishes with 31 wins get in over a team that finishes with 46 wins. So it's a bit crap in that aspect as well, because obviously the team that's got the more wins should get there. So I can see why people are on the fence about it, but I can also see where people like Trent like it, because it makes for a more competitive season.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just like the crowd just go crazy about it, and it just brings that that let's go right now sort of thing, go hard, go home, all that sort of stuff, and like, what I mean? Like the Cavaliers, like they made it, they played the Nets, they lost, but they came close,
And then they played the Hawks, who were a lower seed than them. The Hawks beat them and made the playoffs. So it's crazy.
Oh, definitely. But with the NBA playoffs, boys, so have you guys seen the bracket now? Like, I've got the bracket in front of me. It's pretty exciting, actually. Like, it just started.
Honestly, I'll have to drag up the bracket to have a look at it, but you guys keep talking while I do this Google.
I can find the bracket for you and get it put into the chat.
Yeah.
All right, hang on, I'm popping it in now.
So who's in the playoffs?
So basically, on the west side, it's Phoenix, the number 1 seed. Phoenix versus New Orleans Pelicans, who are number 8 seed. On the second series, Dallas Mavericks versus Utah Jazz. Dallas are 4, Utah are 5. The next one is Golden State Warriors. They're the 3rd seed. So they're up 1-0 versus the Denver Nuggets. So I'm actually looking forward to that. That's going to be freaking exciting, I reckon. And the next one is Memphis versus Minnesota. So the Memphis Grizzlies versus Minnesota Timberwolves, which of course is Aden's team, and they just won a game. So they're 1-0. So that's totally exciting. Look, Miami versus Atlanta. Miami Heat versus Atlanta Hawks. So Miami number 1. Philadelphia 76ers versus Toronto Raptors. 4 versus 5. Philadelphia just won 1-0. So they're leading 1-0. Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks versus the Chicago Bulls. That's going to be probably the best one out of them all, which we'll get into later. But Boston Celtics versus Brooklyn, that's pretty exciting too. That's actually Adrian's team, believe it or not. He's a loyal Mets fan, and it's a rematch of last time, So, yeah.
I'm hoping that this playoff we can actually pull away and get the Celtics defeated and move on to the next round in the playoffs. But since I don't really follow the NBA as strongly as even the NRL, and I don't even follow that very much, I basically just... What I do is I have it set to notify me the outcome of every match that the Nets play. And I get notified via Google. So I get the totals, and then if I go click on it, I'll get like the stats from the game. So I am sort of keeping up with it, especially now the playoffs have kicked off. I'm very happy we've made it as far as we have so far. Honest to God.
Yeah, well...
Eastern Conference, is it?
Yes, so on this chart here, Jordan, the blue is the Eastern and the red is the Western.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
Sorry, continue, Trent.
Yeah, well, look, Brooklyn Nets won last series against Boston last year, so it's a rematch of the series for this season. So, look, Brooklyn Nets have had a dramatic season with James Harden being traded. But look, Kevin Durant, he's in great form this season. You know what I mean? He's 33 years old, but he's still dominating the league. And, Kyrie Irving, when he's playing at these, he can only play at away games because of the vaccinations. So, which is fascinating in itself, So, look, I think the Celtics will win, but you can never back down a team with Kevin Durant. He's just a flat out baller. I mean, the guy can just, you know what I mean? He's like 6'11", 7 foot, and he can dribble like a guard, and he can shoot the lights out anywhere. Good lord. I mean, he can still do it at 33 years old, which is not that old, but it's getting on in the basketball world. But yeah,
I mean, Durant's been really good for years too. I'm very happy with how he's performed so far. But like you said, it all comes down to, in my opinion, it's pretty much like with most sports. It all depends on who shows up at the gates, if you know what I mean. If they don't show up with their heart and soul ready to play ball, then it's not going to be a good match for the team that doesn't show up. It's going to be a whitewash for the other one. It'll be easy as hell. But for the other team, it's going to be probably the most demoralizing and heartbreaking one. So here's to hoping that my boys can stick it together.
Hey, Trent. Are you there, Trent?
Yes, Aden.
I just want to correct you on one thing. Brooklyn have actually scrapped the mandate now, so Kyrie is able to play every game for Brooklyn.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah, I've been so busy with work and stuff. I thought that was still the case, but they must have changed the laws and stuff for like for New York venues. So that's good. Well, I'm not getting into the whole vaccine thing. That's not what this is about. But it's good for the Brooklyn Nets because he's a star player.
You were about to say something?
Hey?
You were trying to say something, sorry?
So I'm going to say to Trent, I want him to give. I'll do my predictions, but I want Trent to give me his predictions for the playoffs, game by game.
So you want me to give my prediction?
I want your prediction, mate. No, don't take too long because we don't want this to be a 2-hour episode, but just quickly, you don't need to explain it too much.
Before we go on with that, before we go, Aden, you might need to back away from your mic a little bit. You're getting muffled at certain points. It's getting harder to hear you. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
All right, I'll give my prediction and probably a 3-word summary or something. So basically, Brooklyn. So I think Boston will win 4-2. 4-2. Yeah. They've been too strong this season. Ben Simmons, is he going to play or not? I think Boston's just got too much depth. What's your prediction?
Well, Trent, I think you give me all your playoff predictions, the whole lot, and then I'll give you mine. I want to see what you've got to say.
So you want me to go through them all? All right.
As quickly as you can.
All right. Let's go. Boston's going to win 4-2. Milwaukee versus Chicago. I think the Bucks will win. It's going to go all the way, 4-3. Philadelphia versus Toronto. Philadelphia will win 4-1. Miami versus Atlanta. Miami will win 4-1. Phoenix versus New Orleans. Phoenix will win 4-1.
Hey,
Dallas.
Trent,
Yeah.
did you say Bucks or Bulls are going to win?
Bucks.
No,
Bucks.
you're wrong. You're wrong, mate. You're wrong. It's going to be the Bulls.
I'm wrong.
Bulls are going to win.
Yeah, well, they're strong.
Chicago all the way, baby. The Windy City.
Chicago, Windy City, baby.
He even sounded like he was mocking you. The Windy City, baby! Sorry, continue with your prediction.
Look, Dallas, Utah. Look, there's so many great series. I'm so excited. Look, Dallas versus Utah. You know what? Utah 4-3. It's going to go to a 7-game. Warriors, I think 4-1. 4-1. Memphis versus Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Memphis all the way, baby.
And Memphis 4-2.
Oh!
I want Minnesota to win. I want Minnesota to win. But Memphis, Ja Morant, and they've got some good stuff going on, You know what I mean? Like, this is a young, up-and-coming team. I'll leave it there.
All right, Aden, we've heard Trent. Let's hear you.
I'm still got to give the rest.
He's done them all.
No. There's the second round, third round, and the final.
Oh, fuck hell.
Okay, well, right.
So you got Boston versus Bucks.
So, Boston versus Bucks. I think the Bucks will win that 4-2.
Ooh.
I believe in the Bucks. They're the real deal.
Right.
Okay, what's next? So Miami versus Philadelphia. I think that's a hard one. I go Philly. Miami. 4-3 Miami. 4-3 Miami. That's a hard one. because they're both balanced. Okay, Western Conference. Okay, Western Conference. So we got Phoenix versus Utah. I think Phoenix will win that. Phoenix will win that 4-2. 4-2. Warriors versus Memphis. Warriors will win 4-1. Okay. So back on the eastern side. So then I will have Milwaukee versus Heat. Bucks all the way. Bucks will beat Miami. Bucks will win 4-1. Okay. So that means Bucks will make the NBA Finals on the Eastern Conference side. Then we've got the Warriors. The Warriors versus Phoenix. Depending on injuries. I think the Suns will win. It'll be a rematch. I'm predicting a Suns. Yep, rematch. Suns Bucks NBA Finals. And who's going to win? I think the Suns will get redemption and win 4-2.
All right, so that's yours, Trent. So what I'm going to do is I'll power through this. I'll do the Eastern Conference first, then the West, and I'm not going to give my reasons why. You guys can see that on my YouTube channel. I've got a full video on it, but we're going to do the Eastern Conference first. I've got Miami beating Atlanta, 76ers beating Toronto, Bucks beating the Bulls, Nets beating the Celtics. Shout out to Adrian.
Woo!
Then I've got the 76ers beating the Heat and the Bucks beating the Nets.
Boo!
Finally, I've got the 76ers winning this one. I think Joel Embiid and James Harden will be too good there. So the 76ers go through to the finals. So the Western Conference, I've got the Suns beating the Pelicans, Utah beating the Mavericks, Steph Curry and the Warriors beating the Nuggets. Now, this one I will give a little bit of a rundown through. So obviously, huge Timberwolves fan. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning to watch the game. So proud of them getting the win. I think it's huge that we got a win in Memphis. That's massive. If we can go and get another win next game, then we've got 2 games at home after that. I think we can win the series, but I am going to predict Memphis win this. I'm going with the safe option, so I'm going Memphis. Then we go into the second round, Suns versus Utah. Suns win that easy. Warriors against Memphis. I love Memphis. I think Ja Morant's an amazing player, but the Warriors get that one. Warriors and Suns. I've got the Suns winning that. Suns play the 76ers. The Suns have the best record this year in their franchise history. They won't lose this finals against anyone. I've got the Suns winning that one in 6.
Right.
Very.
So you had a Suns Sixers final.
Yeah, I've got Suns and Sixers.
The only consistency you used to have is the Suns always make the finals. You are torn on the Eastern Conference.
But the Suns, they won 63 games. Then I don't see them losing in the playoffs. I don't see it happening.
See, now, I'm not a big NBA fan. I don't follow every single team. If there's one thing I can agree with the pair of you on, it's obviously the Suns are dominating this season, but there's like 3 other things I can agree with you on. I am on Trent's side with the Bucks. The Bucks are they're nuts. But I also agree with Aden about the 76ers making the playoffs. So, and the only other one is This is my shout out to Aden. Yes, if the Timberwolves can get through this round and beat both of the games at Memphis and then go home, that's them getting through. So in my opinion, it would be the next round would be Warriors versus Timberwolves though, because instead of going safe, I'd rather go big, and I can see Aden's team making it to the next round. So that's just me. I'm pretty much on par with everything else with you guys, except of course, if I was to go with my own bias, the Nets make it to the finals. Fuck both of you. But that's just my bias. If I'm being realistic, we have potential to beat the Celtics, but the Celtics are just really good at the moment, so I'm not going to get my hopes up for them, and that's it.
Potential, Adrian. The potential is there.
Exactly.
Hey guys, so is it the Celtics or the Celtics?
Celtics. Boston Celtics. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
But hey, Chicago Bulls, you can't rule out the Chicago Bulls because they've got quite a good squad as well. Yeah, it's very even squad. So Chicago Bulls, they could put up a surprise. But I see the Bucks going through there. But see what happens.
To put forward, I actually am of the opinion that pretty much every team that we see here in the top 8 in both conferences, all 8 teams have a pretty decent lineup if we look at it objectively. I mean, obviously the best example is they've made it to the playoffs, but you guys have been able to mention maybe 1, possibly 2, every single team of really good players, and we can all agree that you don't get really good players without really good teamwork in the NBA. So these 16 squads, I reckon this has probably been one of the better years for NBA despite every restriction and COVID and all that. Because, yeah, so that's just me though. I don't know if you guys can agree with me on that one though.
You go, Trent.
You go, mate. You go.
Sure, all right. So the only thing, I'll agree with you for 14 of the 16 teams, Adrian. The 2 that I don't really agree with are the Pelicans and the Hawks. They were really lucky to make it. Like, they just scraped through. So I don't see them doing much in the playoffs. But the rest of it, I agree 100% with you. There's nearly any team could win it out of those 14.
Except for Minnesota.
Don't you?
His heart's all with Minnesota. He believes they're going all the way, really. But,
I thought his heart was with Paige. Oh, he's
No, look at
that.
I think the only other thing that could have his heart more than the Timberwolves would be the Rabbitohs in the NRL. That's it.
South Sydney till I die.
South Sydney till I die.
Well, that's how the song goes.
But with the Philadelphia 76ers, okay, look, yes, Embiid is an absolute beast. Yes, they've got some great role players. Yes, James Harden is a very good player. He can score when he wants. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to that fourth quarter, when it matters, you got the ball, you're trying to hit the big shot, all that sort of stuff, ISO, whatever, you know what I mean? He's unreliable in the playoffs. People call me out, whatever, but that's why I'm not putting the Sixers in the finals. If Harden can control that, they could go all the way. They could beat the Bucks, but I just don't. I just think the Bucks will put a defensive strategy where Harden won't be able to do what he normally does. Hello?
Yeah. So, Trent, I will say, while I do agree with you that, James Harden struggles with those big shots, I think this is the best situation for him because he's got Joel Embiid now. And Joel Embiid is calm under pressure. Look, I hate the Sixers. I cannot stand the Sixers. I don't like Joel Embiid. I don't like James Harden. But Joel Embiid is calm. He can pull it off. If anyone can, it's Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and he wants it. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, his mindset is he's got that beast mode. But before he was sort of, he was getting injured a lot, and like he always wants to win, but I don't know that focus. But he's just so, he wants it badly, and he's just, he's going up strong. He's just not, floating back and shooting through. It's great to have diversity, but he's actually going in, getting it done in the middle, and it's very hard to stop him, and he's extremely skilled. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on the Sixers. I just think the Bucks got, anyway. But look, the Suns, I just think, like Chris Paul, he's just what is he, 37, 38 years old or something now?
37, yep.
And he's still playing so well.
Hey guys, I just want to butt and chime in here for a second.
Yeah.
I want to give you my predictions.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I reckon the Orlando Magic is going to make it to the finals.
Well, who knows? Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, might just say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to kick one of the teams out and just put the Magic in. Let's just make the Magic make the finals.
Actually, just thinking about it, whatever happened to the Lakers? They were fucking a good team.
Yeah, well, it has been a mess for the Lakers. They've had over 30 to 40 lineups, injuries, Anthony Davis. Look, LeBron James has played pretty damn well considering he's 37, 38. What is he, 37 years old, I may have got that wrong, but he's around that age, LeBron James has done pretty well considering. However, like the Lakers just been, like their roster is just constructed at the moment. It's just a mess, It's just a mess. It takes a whole team to do it, just not a few individuals. What do you think, guys?
It's a team sport, isn't it, Trent?
Well, that's right.
At the end of the day, you do it for the boys. You turn up for the boys.
Do it for the boys.
Listen, I don't want to sound controversial, but there'll be some players that will disagree with you and say they do it for the girls, and not just any girls, the young girls.
Well, LeBron James teams, LeBron James, he started off the Cleveland Cavaliers, he went to the Miami Heat with a big decision, and then he went back to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then he went to the Lakers. In that time, he comes in 4 years, for the first 2 years, strong. Second year, his roster is just primed, ready for the finals. They either win the championship or they're in the finals. You know what I mean? The third year, fourth year, their roster is sort of getting older, or you know what I mean, the chemistry and all that. A few people retire. He surrounds himself by veterans, and they sort of drop off, and then the team isn't strong. So then he goes to the next team, and then but they do that cycle. I heard that on a podcast, somewhere on ESPN or something. And it's quite interesting, and it's the truth. And this is where the Lakers are at. They're at the he's like his third, fourth year with the Lakers, and they won that championship in 2020. Now they're dropping off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, who's Aussie basketballer? Was it Ben Simmons? There's another one, isn't there?
Yeah.
Josh Giddey.
Yeah, Ben Simmons. Yeah. There's Ben Simmons. He got traded from the Sixers to the Nets. Aden's probably got a few thoughts on that.
But I think so. There's actually quite a lot of Australian players in the NBA. You got Joe Ingles, who got traded to the Trailblazers. You've got Josh Giddey, who I'd say Jordan's probably talking about because he's all over TikTok. Patty Mills, Ben Simmons, Dyson Daniel.
It was Ben Simmons and Patty Mills. Who's Patty Mills? How's he going? He was good.
I love Patty. Yeah, Patty Mills is a guard. He's like a 3-point shoot, 6 foot, He's 6 foot, so not the tallest player, but he's fast, great playmaker, and shoots threes. All about energy. Torres Strait Islanders are set, and average is set as well. He's just a great guy, positive attitude. Been in the NBA a while. You know.
Who's he play for, Trent?
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Nets, yeah.
Oh.
So he was with my team, San Antonio Spurs, but then he, he was a free agent, so he signed a bigger contract with the Nets, but it's good for him because he was so good with the Spurs, as a role player, but he's had a different role with the Nets where he's a role player, but he comes on and he's had like big games, like 20-point games, consistent 20-point games, shooting threes, yeah.
Well, let's go Brooklyn Nets. Let's go all the Aussies in the NBA, hey? Let's hope we fucking kill it.
Bloody oath, man, bloody oath. But like Australians in the NBA, like it's fantastic, like they come leaps and bounds, like you know what I mean? Yeah, there's like I could probably count them, but there's around 8 or 9 NBA Australians in the NBA. There may be even more, But
talking about Australians in the NBA, Aden, have you played your first game yet?
No, play on Wednesday. Make my debut on Wednesday. Very excited.
Fuck yeah! Been training your ass off or what?
Every day I go to the courts down there every single day, man. I'm out here grinding, I tell you.
Fuck yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. What's it like? Who you play for?
Well, it's like a TRL comp. You've got to bring your own jerseys. You've got to bring up your own name. So we've called ourselves the Bench Warmers. Good fun there. First game Wednesday. Not sure what time yet. They haven't given us a time, but hopefully it's not too late.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the go. That's the go. What's it? Have you met like your squad yet, or what's the go there?
A lot of the boys. So a lot of the boys actually come from Woolies where I used to work. So I know most of them. There's a few that are mates from the other fellas that worked at Woolies, but most of them I know.
Yeah, right. Well, that sounds like a bit of a squad then. What's it? Like just real casual type of shit, or? Aden.
It's a proper comp. Eh? Yeah.
Keep going. You dropped out for a second.
No?
Yeah. Yeah, you keep going. You keep going, Aden. You keep going.
Okay. It's a proper comp. Like our stats go up on the website, so I'm actually really excited to have my name on a bloody basketball stat sheet. That's going to be exciting. But it costs like $250 per person, so it's not cheap.
Yeah, that's what I paid. I think it's like $250. Yeah, for a season. I think like 17 games in a season or something. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, we've got 20.
Oh, right. So, you back playing basketball, Trent? You're playing for the Rockets now, aren't you?
Oh, nah, man, but I play like Div 2. It's pretty good. So, my team's probably not playing this season, so they're going to play like next season, the summer season, but I'll probably find another team. But, I'll probably play again. Yeah, so I look forward to it. So, yeah.
Sorry, Trent, what was that? You're a free agent. We've got a couple of spots free on our team if you want to travel down here.
Well. So do I have to pay? So I'd have to pay the $250 fee, yeah.
I ain't paying for it. That's for sure.
Oh well, your teammate 15, 20. Nah, I'd pay for it, man. But. Yeah, look, if I could, I would, mate. Why not? If I'm down there. I just sign up and play.
Sounds good. But onto the back onto the NBA here, Trent. I guess any of you can answer this one. I think back on to the topic of LeBron James. A lot of people ask the question: who's the GOAT, LeBron or Michael Jordan?
How many rings
Oh,
has LeBron James got?
Four championships, yeah.
How many rings has Jordan got?
6 championships.
The GOAT is spoken.
Fucking Jordan, brother.
When it comes down to it, I see it as this. You know, there are particular players who are outstanding of their era. Okay, so of this era, you had like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, etc. Okay, the previous one you had, you know, it was Kobe Bryant, LeBron James as well. You know what I mean? Like you know, and also the younger version, you know, it was Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett. You know, players like that. You know, so it sort of goes in like 5 to 10 year periods. You know, sometimes 10-year periods. You know, obviously Michael Jordan was so dominant in the 90s. You know, in the 80s was Bird, Magic. You know, like a few others. You know, like 70s, like Kareem. You know, you go back in the 50s and 60s. You know, you go to Bill Russell. You know, all that sort of stuff. You know, like I think there are particular players that a group of players. You know, sometimes 1, sometimes 3 to 5. They were just dominant in that era. It's hard to compare different eras to each other. You know, that's just my opinion. So, and it's good to. It's not you know, it's not good for the media. You know, ESPN and stuff like that. On those talk shows, they love talking about that and they continually talk about it. But that's how I see it. However, look, Michael Jordan had the. I think Michael Jordan has like that killer instinct, you know, that mental game, that killer instinct. If you want the shot, he'll give you the shot. You know what I mean? He was just that guy. However, LeBron James, you know what I mean? He's more of a, you know, multi-skilled player where he was, you know, able to bring others into the game, which Michael Jordan did too. But I think LeBron, he's more LeBron James is more athletic and he's taller and all that sort of stuff. And it's a totally different sort of player. Like LeBron James is more of a team aspect of, you know, incorporating everyone. While Michael Jordan is that killer instinct. He's just, you know what I mean? Like he'll just take over the game, you know. So, and it come down to it, I'll probably go Jordan, you know.
Alright, I'll put mine forward and I'm going to ask you one simple question to counteract that question. Original Space Jam or the new one?
Oh, the old one. But I haven't seen the new one, so...
I have.
I just put the reviews.
I have Aden, old or new Space Jam?
Okay, the new one's good, but you can't beat the original.
Jordan.
I haven't seen either of them, bro.
Okay, well then, with those two answers, that's 1 point to Jordan on my books. But the other thing I'm just going to say it. Athletes need to keep their nose out of politics and world problems and stick to sport. Because sometimes when they say shit, it just sounds stupid. As someone who tries to keep out of, like, putting things online about things about the world, I can say every time LeBron James has said something involving China, he needs to just shut up and just focus on NBA. That's me. I'm more of a Jordan fan. Always have been. Always was before I realised LeBron was kind of an idiot.
You know what? I'm just going to stop Aden and Trent for a second. Adrian, your opinion's trash. Doesn't matter who the fuck you are, whether you're LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Donald Trump, Anthony Albanese, fucking cunt Morrison. we all have a voice. We all have an opinion.
Mm.
They're allowed to have their opinion on high-profile cases, on the Jada and Will saga, on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. They're allowed to have their opinions just as much as you do. I can't, how rude would it be for me to say to you, you focus on your YouTube, you don't get a say in what's going on in the outside world. You know what I mean? Just because they're a sports star doesn't mean that they're not allowed to voice their concerns.
Alright.
They're a person just as much as anyone else in the world.
I'll reiterate. Every time LeBron has spoken, it has been in... what's the word?
Bad taste.
Bad taste. Like, the amount of... I'm not saying he shouldn't say shit, but he's very clearly got an agenda that is not good. He is more pro-China. He's not focused on his own country. He's focused on pushing other countries' agendas. He has stated he supports China.
Yeah, well, guess where his fucking shoes are made?
Well,
Jordan. But with everything that happened in the last 2 years, why would you publicly state that when the whole world is hating on that country, especially after the outbreak? There was a time and a place. He chose a really fucking bad time.
Oh yeah, like I said to you previously, opinions are like assholes.
Yeah.
Everyone's got one.
But
just because you have an opinion, that doesn't make it right. That is your point of view, and there's 7 odd billion people in the world. No two people are going to align exactly.
No.
I'm not saying what he's doing is right or wrong. I couldn't give a fuck about him and what the fuck he does. I just buy his shoes.
You don't even buy his shoes.
I do. I've got a pair of Air Jordans at home.
That's Air Jordans, not LeBron Jordans.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, that's right.
You got the wrong fucking one.
Yeah, no, I got the wrong one.
But
look, LeBron James has built schools. He's donated a lot to charity, but actually directed specific programs that have really helped people in their lives. He's done a lot for a lot of people who are in his area that are struggling, etc. For kids and stuff. He's paid for college tuition, for whole heap. He's done some great things, great things. With the whole, however, with the whole China thing, you know what I mean? That was quite interesting, with the Taiwan, China. I'm not going to go into the whole thing about that, but, in China, he's got hundreds of millions of dollars regarding his shoe deals. The NBA earns hundreds of millions of dollars. And when the Rockets GM, I forgot his name, I should really know his name, but the Rockets GM years ago made a comment saying, free... Okay, he made a comment about China, and China didn't like it, and then basically LeBron and stuff like that didn't say anything about it. You know what I mean? And he was criticised. He made a comment which wasn't, supporting the sort of American movement, and they weren't too happy about that.
I name dropped the wrong person, but LeBron James does have a contract with Nike for shoes.
there you go. Yeah. Sorry.
So yes, they would be made in China.
But it was not Air Jordans,
No.
Jordan.
No. LeBron
like-
James. Right. That's my bad. That's my bad.
There's hundreds of millions of dollars there. However, when you think about it, like Muhammad Ali, like LeBron James is sort of, in that category, of Michael Jordan, those sorts of guys, Muhammad Ali, whatever, However, Muhammad Ali literally, went to jail and he put his whole life on the line and not went to war. That's pretty amazing. But with this China thing, it's sort of like, oh, damn, the hundreds of millions of dollars. Look, I understand, it's multi-dynamic, and I can't just judge from my perspective, However, you look at Muhammad Ali, he literally made a sacrifice. He just said, look, You know what I mean? I will literally, I am not going to Vietnam. I'm going to jail. You know what I mean? I'm not being in the script. I'm not going in the military, all that sort of stuff, and you know what I mean? And it was with his convictions, and he put it all on the line, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
look, at the end of the day, I'm not a giant fan of LeBron, and I'll just keep it at that then. Yes, my opinion's trash, so I'll keep it to myself. But out of the two, Michael Jordan will always be the GOAT in my eyes. I remember actually seeing some of the footage before I even saw Space Jam when he was actually playing NBA. And it was probably some of the best stuff I've ever seen in terms of NBA, like, just footage in general. I loved it. He is probably one of the best I've ever seen in my whole life. And what I have seen is actually more than what you guys probably would realize, because, yeah. But that's just me. The GOAT always will go to Michael. So, sorry for the tangent.
Actually, we haven't heard from Aden. Aden, what's your thoughts?
He's the one who asked the question. He's been waiting for us to finish.
Alright, so last year, if you'd asked me, I'd probably say it'd be close and LeBron could possibly take over as the GOAT. However,
shut the fuck up.
after this year, listen to me. After this season, I personally don't think LeBron is top 5 all time. I think he's dropped further down than Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, anyone like that. And the reason being is they had a chance to make that play-in tournament. And the last game of the season that LeBron could have played to win that spot, he pulled out due to injury. Now Kobe Bryant, in a crucial game, he dislocated 2 fingers. They popped it back in. He went back out and he finished the game and they won. You see players, Michael Jordan's played through injuries. Magic Johnson's played through injuries. Kevin Durant's played through injuries. Klay Thompson did his ACL. He went back out, took the free throws to help his team. To me, LeBron James loses a lot of credibility because he didn't play that final game because of quote-unquote ankle soreness.
Wait, that was the reason?
Apparently. Allegedly.
No,
He's a top
no,
5.
you're wrong. That wasn't the reason. He's got a dislocated vagina.
No,
Hey,
even
he's
that's
a
not
top
right. He's got sand in his
Hey,
vagina.
Aden, he's a top 5 player. He made 10 NBA finals in a row. He's breaking the he'll get the most all-time points eventually. You know what I mean? He'll go over Kareem most likely. You know what I mean? He's in the top 5 for all stats categories: assists, rebounds, points. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like he just has a different way of going about it than Michael Jordan and Kobe. You know what I mean? Like I still think he's obviously top 5 in my opinion. You know, but like there's both some different eras, but yeah, like you know what I mean.
Trent, you're getting really defensive for LeBron
He's
James.
getting very flustered.
He is. You're getting very flustered. You take a second there, champ. Take a second.
Who's that? Me?
Yeah, take a second. You're getting You're getting flustered, mate. You're getting flustered.
Oh, I'm passionate. I love it. You know what I mean?
Trent, that doesn't mean you get. You go, Aiden.
I completely understand where you're coming from. I do, but and this is what frustrates me with a lot of things in the NBA. Karl Anthony Towns puts up amazing stats, but they say when those stats don't result in wins, then it's just empty stats. Look, I'm not saying, and Trent, I know you're going to be pissed off about this, but I'm not saying LeBron James. I'm not saying his stats are empty, but when you look at what Michael Jordan has done in his career, he's passionate about getting his team to win. I just don't feel like LeBron James is as much of a team player. He's more about himself, and he needs to get out of that mentality before I think he could be in the conversation for GOAT. Now, yes, maybe I jumped the gun when I said he's out of the top 5 of all time. Look, he's probably a top 3 with Kobe and Michael Jordan all the time. But I still think Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are going to be higher valued players than LeBron James is, and that is my hot take. And Trent, I'm probably going to set you on a tangent now, but that is what I believe.
I actually respect that. I sort of agree with that stats part. Yeah, I agree. You know, you probably don't think I would agree, but like that empty stats thing. Talking generally in basketball, you know, there can be stats and there can be just, you know, there's more on the court than people realise than just stats. You know, and I agree with that. And I guess with LeBron James and his teams, yes, he passes the ball. Yes, he integrates, but it's his system. It's not necessarily always the coach's system. It's LeBron's system. So that's sort of selfish in his way, even though he does pass the ball and he's quite selfless, but it's in his system. It's in his style of play. So I had conversations with my friend from basketball about this, and you know what I mean? Yes, in ways he is selfish because it's always his system. You know what I mean? And he doesn't always trust the coach he's with. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. One thing I will say, back on the empty stats thing, a lot of people criticise players like Pat Beverley and Draymond Green because, you know, Draymond Green, he gets memed because he averages 9, 9, 9, 9, and 9. But it's not about the stats with him. It's about what he does defensively. He gets stops. He gets players assists. He gets steals. He gets blocks. He does everything that a lot of players won't do. And that's where I think, you know, we've got to look at more than just stats sometimes.
100%.
Yeah, I
you
agree.
can't judge a player purely on their stats. I agree with the empty stats statement as well, to a degree. But obviously it all comes down to the individual who's viewing it at that time. So, I guess, yeah. It's very hard for me to put it into words because you two definitely know what you're talking about more than I do. But yeah, that's an interesting terminology though, empty stats. I've actually never heard that one before.
No, neither.
That gets, I'd say hated on for empty stats is Russell Westbrook, because in his career he really averaged a triple-double, and not many players can say they've averaged a triple-double. Like that's throughout their whole career. I don't think there's one player that has averaged the stats consistently that he has. But what has he got to show for it?
Not as much, no.
Well, Russell Westbrook, look, don't get me wrong, he has had a great career and he is a very good basketball player and he should be proud of the career he has had. However, the way he plays is he's not a game manager, okay? He's not a point guard that's going to manage the game. He's not going to control the pace. Russell Westbrook knows one pace, and that's to go as fast as he possibly can. Okay, someone like Chris Paul, someone like LeBron James, they're fast, they're slow, they're medium, they adapt to situations. Russell Westbrook is go, get that basket. Yeah, he does pass the ball when he feels, but he takes the game over, and it's not, what's the word, authentic? It's just not, it's not what the team needs. You know what I mean? And when it comes down to those crucial moments, even though he's been in the playoffs, you know what I mean? That's the problem with Russell Westbrook. He's going to have the same problem for the rest of his career. You know what I mean? I gave the man his respect, but you know what I mean?
So just I guess just to point a question to you guys, because I'm purely talking out my ass here, because I know fucking diddly squat about fucking NBA. You dribble the ball, you shoot the ball, you miss, you go, fuck, and then that's it. So, if you're talking in the conversation for the GOAT, right, the greatest of all time, do you think off-field, I don't want to say incidents, but what a player does off-field, does that make an impact, or is that just as or more important than their on-field
Antics,
their retributions? You know, what do you think off-field, you know, if they were a shit cunt off-field, if they were, you know, drugs, parties, in the news every fucking week, whatever,
always
but on the field, they were the fucking, you know, to a T, they were leading the season in rebounds, or, you know, whatever the fucking stats are. Do you think off field they is just as important as on field?
I'll go first so that you guys can do your thing, because you guys know a lot more. My personal opinion is yes, to an extent. You can't, because of someone's actions off field, they can be the biggest piece of shit in the world, but you can't. That doesn't completely negate their actions on the field, in a way. That's how I see it. But because it does sort of impact, that does pretty much immediately eliminate them, in my mind, for being GOAT. I'll look at them as, oh yeah, they were a great player, and then they got off the field and they were a fucking asshole. It's kind of like you look at music bands, you know. He produces great songs. He's a cunt of a human being. But yeah, that's just me. Now we'll let the two know-it-alls get into it.
For me, it's purely about basketball. You know what I mean? It's purely about what they do when they go over the line. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? The other stuff, you know, the cultural stuff, yeah. You know, that's another scenario. But for me, it's when they go over and start to tip off and they start playing. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all really about. You know, in my opinion, you know. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm kind of going to side with Adrian a little bit more here. Now, I completely get where you're coming from, Trent. Like, in the GOAT conversation, we really should be looking at what they're doing on the court, not off the court. But put it this way: there's not many NBA players that are like this. But if you're a racist piece of shit but a great NBA player, I don't really see how you can be called the GOAT. I get, you know, you're a great NBA player, so in good, but I just feel like it's, if you're racist, I don't think there's any room for racism in sport. So I don't really know if there's, what's their player's name? Oh, Myers Leonard, Trent. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah.
Who's that, sorry?
Myers Leonard played for the Heat. No?
Sorry, can you just say that name again? Sorry, I can't hear.
Myers Leonard.
Oh, yeah, Miles Leonard, yeah. Yep.
Made a really racist joke. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want Adrian getting bloody demonetized or cancelled for this, but he made a really, really racist joke. Now, he's not a good NBA player. He's not great. He's an NBA player, but he's not a good one. But if he was a good NBA player, I feel like because of a lot of the issues he's got off court, you couldn't say he was the GOAT, even if he was the best in the NBA. I just feel like you can't award people for that. I get where you're coming from, saying, you know, if they're amazing on court, they should be called the GOAT, but I've got to side with Adrian here. With that being said, LeBron James, well, yes, the China thing was a pain in the ass, and it was an issue. He shouldn't have. He did it for himself, basically, but outside of the NBA, he is actually really selfless. He donates a lot of money to charity. The Black Lives Matter thing, he has he's helped a lot of young black kids that struggled. He helped get a lot of them off the streets, get them, a lot of them. He's actually helped get into qualification for the NBA. Like, he's done a lot for the black community. He's done a lot for a lot of other communities as well. So, like, it's basically what I'm saying is, I think you do have to be good on court and off court to be called the GOAT. That's just my opinion.
100% agree with you there, Aden. 100%.
But the thing is, the idea of the GOAT isn't an official award. I don't think it's an official award.
It's not.
Called the award. So in the NBA, they have something what you call the 75th anniversary, which they had this season, where they had pretty much the 75 best players in the NBA in the history of the NBA. The NBA got started like 40s or whatever, and in the 40s, and basically some have passed away. Some weren't able to make it, but they had the best 75 players, pretty much, bar the ones that I just mentioned, all in the same building, and which was fantastic. I think if you commit a particular crime, and you know what I mean, and or do the things that you said, racism, whatever, yeah, you shouldn't be part of something like that. You know what I mean? Because those people, are really, the torchbearers of the game. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Alright, I'll put forward this one to you guys, this scenario. We'll go back in time to when it was a little less harder to track, but using steroids or performance-enhancing drugs. We all know that in the history of sports, there was a time where they were being used and it was very hard for people to pick up on it. This is years ago, though. We're talking yonks. But you look at them nowadays, and you look at them and go, you use those drugs, you've been proven to have done it in yada yada time period, and these were players that back then were looked at as really great, really fantastic players. Do you think that if that's found out like a decade or two later that they were taking these performance-enhancing drugs of any type, whatever like titles that we gave them, like GOAT or best player for the team, immediately should be revoked in the eyes of the public?
Before you two jump in, just have a take 5 and settle your thoughts, because I can relate to this one with rugby league, right? There was a young fella, I can't remember his name, is a Sharks fella, Bronson Cherry, young fella for the Sharks. He was taking performance enhancing drugs, unbeknownst to him, they was. Now, he can go to ASADA, which is the drug governing body that does that sort of stuff. And if he's found not guilty of him actively using them drugs, he still cops a 2-year ban from any and all professional sports. If he's found guilty after he charges that, he gets 6 years. From memory, don't quote me on it. But as soon as ASADA tests you for drugs and drugs show up in your system, it's immediate 4-year ban on any competitive sports.
I think that's a bit unfair, right?
To a degree, yes, but I'm sort of getting with that. Wasn't there a whole, with the Cronulla Sharks saga a few years ago, the whole team, or most of the team, using peptides, which is a type of a performance-enhancing drug of some sort. There's another notable mention, I can't remember his name. He went from the Melbourne Storm, got found with drugs, went to the Sunny Coast Falcons, Aden should know this, then went back to the Storm for a few games. He's a young fella, he owns an F45 gym down in Brizzy Way. He's on that podcast with Danny.
Sandor Earl.
He got done for drugs as well. And yeah, look, they would never, in the conversation for the greatest of all time, or Bronson Cherry, for instance, was going to be the Rookie of the Year. Like, he had a fucking outstanding year. But I think it was early last year or the year before where he got done with drugs. And, you know, if you're not any wiser to the situation and you don't know you're taking performance-enhancing drugs, I don't think you should be stripped of titles like that. If you actively knew and it was proven by, I don't know, the fucking act of God that you knew you were taking in performance-enhancing drugs, you should be stripped of your titles. If you were, you know, let's say for instance in the Olympics doing karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, something, martial arts, fighting like that, you would have your titles stripped from you. You know, you would have that Olympic medal taken off you, probably metaphorically, I don't know about physically, but you know, you'd have that taken off you, you'd been stripped of your gold, whatever.
Well, I'll rephrase the question then to go in line, because I feel like I left it out in the open a little bit too much. Knowingly took drugs.
100%. You should be stripped of fucking anything and everything during that time period.
Right. So, and to add to it just that little bit more, even if it was so minor, it really wouldn't have been noticed.
Well, that's why we have ASADA.
Yes, that's...
It's the drug governing body.
Yeah.
If they can trace fucking... They give you a list. When you sign your fucking contract for whatever sport it is, they give you a list of banned substances. You have to adhere to that. If you know that taking a certain pre-workout has got that banned substance in it, do not fucking take that pre-workout. So, you know, if you're, you know, 17, 18, 19, like a lot of these young rugby league players are, they don't know any of this. They're still young. You know, remember how stupid we were at that age. You're still young and malleable and easily manipulated. If someone is 25 to 30, 35, 40, still doing elite sports, and they get done with drugs in their system,
bit different.
That should be stripped. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Right. You two, who wants to go first?
Ben, you're up.
You go.
You're me to go.
You go, mate. Yeah, you go.
Look, I completely agree with Jordan 100%. Like, if you're willingly taking drugs and you obviously know that you're doing the wrong thing, then you should be stripped of everything. But if and Essendon sort of is a little bit similar in the AFL. They were another one like Cronulla that got done for sports-enhancing drugs. But if you're a player that, you know, obviously you're going to be thinking, like, what are these guys doing? Like, I'm getting these injections, you know, every now and then that, you know, that they're not giving me proper answers for. You'd be questioning it. Like, I don't know. I feel like if the player is willingly doing it and knows that they're doing the wrong thing, absolutely should be stripped. But I think it's hard when a club is making every player do it. Like, what's going on in the background? I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like, I think obviously there should be no sports-enhancing drugs in sports. That's just, you know, a given. But, you know, it all comes down to the players' level of knowingness if they're doing the right thing. Like, you'd have to question someone giving you something that you're not sure about.
Yeah, I think Aden, Jordan, Adrian, you make great points, but you know, if a player, athlete, whatever, you know what I mean, you're in the trust of a practitioner or something, and you ask, what you really should do, you should really ask, what medication are you giving me? Can you give me the list, the generic name of the medication that you're going to give me? Okay. You get the name of the medication, you look it up and see if it's on the ban list. And if it's on, you know, you deem whether it's on the ban list or not ban list. If it's not on the ban list, obviously that's all right. But you know what I mean? If you were told that you're getting a medication or supplement or whatever that was, that you thought was okay and there was no problem with, but then, your trust was breached by whoever was administering that. You know what I mean? I think that's quite unfair. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's really unfair, and a 2-year ban can be very destructive to someone's career. You know what I mean? And that's just my thoughts. But obviously, if someone's taken knowingly, obviously that's terrible. Yeah. Well, it's not. It's not ethical, and obviously, they should be participating. At all the penalties, 6 years, whatever. That's appropriate. People do learn from mistakes, and it's good to have a pathway for them to eventually come back. But you know what I mean? If you're told one thing and it's another thing, that's a mistrust from a practitioner. That's just.
It's a very touchy subject, and
well, that is a very, I guess, grey area, which I do somewhat agree with you, Trent. If someone of a medical field or medical background is saying, hey, this does not have anything in it, you're fine to take it.
And
before you take it, though, you could always run it past a SADA. That's the thing.
I don't know what the NBA American equivalent is, though. I don't think it's the same.
Yes, but I don't think I don't think America is nowhere near as strict on performance-enhancing drugs as Australia is.
They really should be, personally. My opinion.
It's their country. Yeah.
I think one time they just rocked up to Jonathan Thurston's house at 6 a.m. in the morning to do like a test. Obviously, it come back negative, and I'm not making controversy or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, they're full on, It's like, 6 a.m. Wow.
Well, that's not the half of it, Trent. The thing with ASADA, which I did learn from, I think it was Sandor Earl's podcast, is that you give them, they will say, Trent, we want your movements in 1 week's time. Next Sunday, for instance. I want to know where you're going to be at what time, because they can show up at any time of the night. They will rock up at midnight if need be and test you. But the thing with ASADA and all that sort of bullshit is, if they show up on Saturday and test you and it comes back for an illegal substance, they can't ban you because it's not within the day that you gave and the time frame. If you say, I'm going to be at my mum's house for Mother's Day in 1 month's time, they'll show up to your mum's house where you are, and if you're not there, then they issue you a show cause. So, it's not like you didn't have any warning, but it's also very fucking strict. Where I don't know too much about American sports to know that. I can only speak from Australian sports.
Well,
yeah, that's fascinating because you could be in, okay, I'm going to be in this location in a month's time, and I've got to commit to that. But there must be some sort of form where you go, the time I've got to be somewhere else because something else has happened, which is totally legitimate. Yeah, it's very, wow, it's really full on, But I guess they got to be, to make sure it's all clean or whatever,
Yeah, well, that's right. They've got to be strict because they can't not show empathy, but they can't treat you differently to anyone else. You know what I mean?
That's objective, yeah.
That's right. The law is very black and white. There's no grey areas. It's either yes or no. You know what I mean? And they've got to treat everyone like that. They've got to paint everyone with the same brush.
damn.
Yeah.
Oh.
We got any finishing notes on the NBA? Aden, Trent?
Well, look, it's going to be great, and I look forward to it. And see what happens. Yeah, I think Suns will make it. I think Bucks. I think it's going to be a rematch. And
I think you're on, Trent. I think the Windy City, the Chicago Bulls, are going to go all the way, mate.
They have a strong team. They really do. Like, you can't rule them out. DeRozan's had a hell of a year. He's been an MVP contention, bro.
Well, you know what? I've just thrown a dart at a dartboard, so it looks like the Bulls are going to be my fucking team from now on.
Have you finally picked a team?
Oh.
Apparently you finally picked a team.
What, is there a Las Vegas team in the NBA?
Los Angeles.
No, but there's a Las Vegas WNBA team.
So what?
I think
Fuck yeah, Trent, you're part of them, aren't you?
yeah, man.
You'll point guard Sue Bird, won't you?
yeah.
Being a male, you'll probably make more than her too.
So
Adrian tried so hard not to laugh.
No comment.
Jordan, you actual shit-stirring little prick.
No comment.
Trent, why did you play along with him, you daft prick? Holy fucking shit. I was trying so hard to not laugh because, like, that is awful. But then Trent's like, oh, yeah, you fucking retard.
But the thing is, I didn't really hear it properly.
He was getting burned and he didn't even know it.
Oh,
Fuck.
I feel bad now, sorry, Trent.
No, you don't. You fucking laughed your ass off. Aiden, you got any notes to close us out on? Please don't.
Mate, on the topic of the good old Chicago Bulls, look, I respect Trent's opinion, but without Lonzo Ball, the Bulls won't beat the Bucks. I'm sorry, but they just won't. It's not going to happen. I think the Bucks, if they don't sweep them, they'll win in 5.
It's not going to happen, but they're going to cause some problems.
It's not.
They haven't beaten a top 8 team all year. I don't think they're going to even compete with the Bucks.
To be honest, it's not even Trent you're supposed to be opposing here. It's fucking Jordan.
Well,
Really?
to Jordan, I say, mate, you might want to find another team.
So with DeRozan, with Zach LaVine, with is it
Well,
Vukovic?
you know what, Aiden?
Nikolai Vukovic.
What?
Fuck your opinion, because Memphis are going to beat you guys.
And they might. They probably will, to be honest. We're in an experienced team. We haven't made the playoffs well since like 2004 when Kevin Garnett was there. So you're probably right.
Holy fuck, hearing that name.
So what's it with all your fucking teams and all your football teams that you follow? Takes you fucking forever to get a fucking premiership or, win something. Jesus Christ.
Underdogs.
Pick better.
Excuse me, haven't won a single thing since I picked the team. Hello? That team hasn't won since I've picked any of them. Fucking hell.
Well, the Dragons just got a field goal.
Shut up,
Sorry.
we've got the game.
Yeah, we're
I'm
watching
watching it now too.
Well, our priorities were supposed to be about the NBA, yet here we are. Oh wow, look at that field goal on the
Yeah, we were
NBA.
watching the fucking NRL. Hey, St. George can still come back. There's still 2 minutes to go.
They're already in the lead.
Oh, sorry, Newcastle, I meant.
Yes, you retard. Anyway,
I knew what I meant. Cunt.
so we're all good. We've had our fill of NBA for the last hour and a bit.
I think that's me done for a decade.
Yeah.
It's been fun, it's talking, and with the crowds properly back, and you know what I mean. I know COVID's still around and stuff, but it's great to have the crowds back. That's what makes sport. The cheer of defense when the crowd just goes wild when the home team, does something great. That's what it's all about. That's, I'd rather the crowds be there. Even though I understand health protocols, but that's what makes it for me. You know what I mean?
100% agreed.
Yeah, 100% Trent. It's so different with no crowds there.
well, on that note, I think we are going to finish this up. I'm going to start off by saying, Trent, thank you so much for coming along today. Your expertise in the NBA has been pivotal, to say the least. You have a lot to say, I know that for a fact.
I can't shut up.
I'm very fucking well aware. The amount of times I have sat here with my mic muted because I know once you start, you can't stop, is actually unfathomable. That's the most we've been muted in a podcast ever. But to be fair,
I appreciate your discipline. Thank you.
it's
Oh, yes! Let's go, Dragons!
Up the dragon.
Up the Dragons! Up the Red V!
Aden, thank you so much for joining us again. As always, it is always a pleasure. As always, Aden's social medias, literally tag Ados the Great, and you'll find his ugly mug somewhere. It's everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah, bald head, you can't miss it.
That's right.
And if he has a full body photo, I fucking can't miss that either.
Yeah, it takes up 2 pages.
And as for Trent, you can't really find him anywhere at the moment. He doesn't
Trent's
have any.
just a good cunt.
He has no social media that you can follow. But if you always want to find out what Trent's up to, you can always DM us at the Opinionated Aussies Instagram, which is where you can also find Jordan. Pretty much, if you want to find Trent, find Jordan first. So go to Opinionated Aussies Instagram.
That's it, mate.
And if you want to find me, I've got my YouTube, AGO, as well as the Twitter that comes along with it. And I'm also behind the scenes at the Instagram page as well. So if you need any of us, that's where you can find us. That's been the NBA on the Opinionated Aussies podcast.
Jeez, we went on a bit of a tangent there, didn't we?
Fucking NBA for an hour and 20 fucking minutes.
Oh, no, it was about 45. The rest of it, we just talked about shit.
Oh yeah, fuck off.
Good having you boys. I appreciate you both. Thanks for coming. You're a fucking bunch of legends.
And
No worries, mate.
as for the rest of you at home, thank you for tuning in
Have a good night.
and take care.